Yeah, I'm a current commissioner from Mecklenburg County for the last 12 years. And it's such an honor to be here today. I'm really sorry my daughter's not with us today. Her son carried a virus, and I caught it a few days ago, and she's got it now. So she has a fever and upset stomach. I had the same thing, and so she's down with it now, but you don't want to catch whatever she has. So anyway, she isn't able to be here, but I can certainly talk about her. I know her well. I know her well. But it's so great to be here and to see you and to meet you. And I guess I want to just talk about who my daughter is and tell you a little bit about her. And if you do have some questions, we'll try our best to answer them. And Andrew is working on her campaign, and so he's doing the grunt work and all the, walking door to door and doing things. And anyway, Tricia was born in Georgia, and it was in 1978. I have to tell you a story. The night I brought her home from the hospital, our house caught on fire.
Oh my God.
Now, there's no good time to have a fire, but the night you come home with your first child and you don't have any relatives for 1,000 miles was not a good day. And so she came in with a bang, with the fire, so I never got to finish that baby book I always wanted to finish back in 1978. So it didn't take long, and we left that house, and we moved to South Carolina, and we lived in Rock Hill for 7 years. And she started school there, and then we moved to Dallas, Texas for a job my husband had, and then we came back to Charlotte in 1987. And so we lived not too far from here. Where she grew up is kind of just past Providence High School is where she grew up. So we lived there. She went to Providence High School and did very well there, and then she went to UNC Charlotte. And then at that time, she was president of the debate club, and she was a nationally ranked debater. So she won many awards. And then after that, she thought about going to law school. And so she thought about that, but when she talked to different law schools, just to kind of get some early information, they said they wanted people to work a little bit before they started law school. So she went to college at UNC Charlotte and finished really at the top of her class, and then she became a teacher at CMS. And she taught in the Mint Hill area, and she taught middle school, and she was Teacher of the Year. So that was, especially since she was called a lateral entry teacher, and she was Teacher of the Year, and then she also was Teacher of the Year for the town of Mint Hill. And so she was very focused on education. And so then she decided to forget the law school part, and she was going to get her master's in education administration. So then she went to Chapel Hill, and she did that. And then she was the top of her class. She graduated summa cum laude, and she was the top of her class. And then she started to be a teacher at Northeast Middle School. And then she went to Independence High School and East Meck High School, where she was the youngest principal at CMS. And she was very happy and looking forward to continuing that career. But what happened is the Speaker of the House, his name was Jim Black, he got indicted. Yes. Some of you remember that if you were in the area. He got indicted. So the people in that district which he represented, even though he was Speaker of the whole House, they had to choose a replacement. And so Tricia won that election. And then she started at the North Carolina House, replacing Jim Black. So it was kind of strange at the time. Here he was an older man, and here they replaced her with a 28-year-old woman. But I think that says a lot. So she was the youngest woman in the North Carolina House, and she still holds that record. She had 2 babies while she was there, and she was there for 10 years. And then after the 10 years, she wanted to take off a little time just to be with her kids a little bit. So she did that, and then she decided to run again 2 years ago. And she ran, and as a Democrat. And I remember it was when her reactions were shocking to me. She called me and said, "Wow, it's a lot different now than when I was here before." And I'm like, "Well, tell me." And she said, "Well, they told me I didn't ask permission. The Democrats told me I didn't ask their permission to run." And she said, "Nobody needs to ask permission to run. Anyone can run." And then when she tried to go to the Democratic caucus, which is their meeting of just Democrats, just like the Republicans have a Democratic caucus, then and she, the first day, I mean, kind of the typical teacher in her, she came bearing gifts. You know, she had little bags made up with candy and gum and sanitizer and all that stuff that you know, teachers give out and stuff. And there she was with her happy box, and they told her, "You are not welcome." So she called me and said, "They told me I wasn't welcome." So I said, "Well, I don't understand." And then the Democrats wanted to give her a mentor. So they assigned her a mentor who was in her, who had only been there 2 years. And she had already been there 10 years. So she was kind of like, "I don't understand this. I know my way around. I know how this works here." So it was a strange start. It was a strange start. And so she was kind of perplexed, but she just, you know, kind of held through it. And, but as time went on, it got worse. And she was told, you know, "You will vote this way. You will push that button." And she said, "Nobody tells me how to vote, just like we don't tell you how to vote." So that was troubling to her, and she said, "No, you're not going to tell me how to vote. I'm going to do what's right." Her big passion was education, and she had other passions about health care. She is currently and has been not only the board chair of education, but she's also board chair of education appropriations, which means the money of the state. Now, one would think that our local school district would call on her, because all the other school districts do, but they don't. So as a county commissioner, because we fund the schools, we usually give them about $650 million every year, every 2 years. Really, it's like every year. But she hasn't heard anything from CMS. So she kind of got that nobody was talking to her, and it just got harder, and the push was harder for her to do what they said. And just like I've had that as a county commissioner, I've had some of that, and people will say, "You must vote this way," and I'm like, I took an oath to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of North Carolina. I'm only beholden to that. I don't work for the Democratic Party. I work for all people. As a county commissioner, I serve all people, whether they're Republicans, Democrats, unaffiliated, whether they're homeless, in jail, or in prison, or residents here who are not even citizens. If they live in Mecklenburg County, I serve them. So anyway, things kind of got, she started to really wonder, because she said, I didn't come here to do nothing. I want to get something done. And she always, just as I did, I tried to work with the Republicans when we had Republicans on the board to get things done, you know, to get the votes. You know, I guess I'm kind of an old-fashioned Democrat, where you kind of, you know how they, we're baby boomers. We all remember how the old days was in politics, where people try to get things done. And so she did that too, and I got a lot of pushback when I do that. But I just said, I work for all people. So, but she decided that it was too difficult to stay a Democrat. And she decided to leave and become a Republican. And that was kind of hard. It was very hard. It was hard for me. It was hard for her father. And but we also knew that she is, I don't know, 44 years old. She's a grown woman, and that was the best thing that she wanted to do, and she thought she could get some things done for the state, but she couldn't get it done as a Democrat. So anyway, so she changed, and it's been very hard, and we've had tremendous, her life is in danger. She's had tremendous threats, and her car was rammed twice. Her home was broken into. Things were stolen. Her apartment in Raleigh was broken into. Vulgar things are sent to her. Very vulgar things are sent to her. And dangerous things are sent to her. So she opens a package and nails and tacks and paint come out. So it's been very scary. The police have been good to try to help her. The Mint Hill police, where her home is, they've tried to keep her safe. But it's been, the Democratic women wrote traitor on her street in 4 feet letters. And that was, I guess they forget that democracy also includes, they keep saying they're pro-democracy, but that also includes you can change parties, or you can do what you want. You don't, whether you're elected or you're a voter. So, but it's been really scary and hateful, and the police have been trying to monitor her and keep her safe. She has gone places. I mean, it's hard to get a date when you're going all through all this. And I think the last date she had, a young nice man asked her to go out for dinner, and she went to the restaurant in East Charlotte, and they said, "We will not serve you. Leave our premises."
Oh, that's terrible.
That's kind of things that's happened, but it's, as her mother, I'm terrified all the time, and I'm frightened, and I'm scared that someone's going to kill her. And my grandson, who's 9, when he got in my car, I was taking him to school, and he said, "Grandma, are the Democrats that don't like Mommy, are they going to shoot her?" So I worry about the trauma for my grandchildren. I have 2 grandsons. His brother is 13. He's 10 now. But it's all been very scary. And so now we're in an election, and she's been working very hard, and she's certainly got run down. I think that's why she caught this virus that I had a few days ago, and her son, I think he caught it at school, and then he passed it to me, and then I guess I passed it to her. So she'll blame me. But so she's kind of a little bit run down, but she's under the doctor's care, and she has some IVs at home that helped her feel better. So she'll be fine. It just takes a few days, but she didn't want to spread anything that she had to you. But she is working hard. She is a woman of, she has an outstanding record. She was Legislator of the Year multiple times when she was there. She won many awards. The governor gave her the Longleaf Pine Award, the highest award in the state. She was Alumni of the Year at Chapel Hill. She's been on done a lot of work in volunteer work. She coaches children's, here in Matthews, she coached children's basketball, boys and girls, over the years, because she played basketball when she was a kid. So she's been a coach. But she's done a lot of volunteer work. And I can tell you, she doesn't drink, doesn't smoke. I really wanted, when I had a daughter, that maybe sometime I could have a daughter, you could go out and have a glass glass of wine with? Not her. Not her. She doesn't drink at all. So that, because my sister had 3 daughters, and so she would always talk to me about these nice times, and I said, she doesn't drink. She doesn't want any part of it. So that was something that I laugh about now, but at the time I was like, well, this is a disappointing thing. So she loves joy. She's always talking about joyful things. So she's really big on holiday stuff. She always decorates. She goes overboard in decorating for Halloween or Veterans Day or Christmas or, just anything. She goes over and beyond decorating. But she's a great mother, and she's a great daughter. And I don't like her music. She likes country music. I'm a Motown girl from the 60s, so that's where I am. But she's sweet, and she's kind, and she's very compassionate, and she's helped a tremendous amount of people. And I hope that she'll be able to stay in the North Carolina House. Now, I don't think that she will, if you all live here, you won't be able to vote for her, because I think this is right on the edge.
No, we're included that.
I'm sorry.
She's included in her district.
Oh, you are included in the district? Okay, I thought someone told me that you weren't. Okay, well, I hope you'll consider her. She's very spiritual, and we pray all the time, and she prays as a family, and I don't know what else to tell you. Andrew, do you want to say something?
Sure, I can tell you from knowing Tricia. So I've known Tricia when I first started as her intern when I was 17 years old. I'm now 34, so I've known her half my life. And she's someone, I've had a lot of struggles in my life. And first one was, my brother was 15 years old and got diagnosed with cancer, osteosarcoma. And Tricia was there for me. So was Pat. They've always stood there with me. And even now, I've received some good news. It turns out I'm going to be a father. Oh. And yes, and Tricia has been there, so supportive of me. It's her ability to work with people and pass legislation that's protecting people like me and my son, who's due in January. And if it wasn't for them, I don't know where I would be in my life now. So I hope you guys really get out and vote for Tricia. We need the support. She's someone who's been there for me, and I know she'll be there for each and every one of you. So.
Thank you. So do you have any questions? I don't know if I can answer, but I'll try. Okay. Yes, sir.
My question has nothing to do with her.
Here, wait a minute. I'll give you the microphone so everybody can hear you.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, you be the runner.
Yeah.
My question has nothing to do with her flipping parties. My question has to do with her policy, her position on abortion prior to flipping parties, to her position after she flipped parties. She was for or against abortions initially, and then afterwards she was pro-choice. So I don't understand, I think 6 months thereabouts, that flip and the rationale behind that flip.
Well, what I can say is she was pro-choice when she was a Democrat.
But what's the Democrat have to do with it?
But you're just talking about, you brought up the switch, so I just want to...
But she went from one position to the other position.
Well...
And couldn't she...
Okay, let me just...
Regardless of party, that's my...
Okay, well, I don't think she changed a whole lot.
Okay.
I don't think she changed a whole lot. She was definitely pro-choice, and at that time in the legislature, the vote had been for 20 weeks. But then in this last year, this last cycle, it changed, and the votes weren't there for 20 weeks. The votes were only there for 12 weeks. So she supported that.
Okay.
So it's more the time, and she was one who bravely told her own story. she got up on the legislature, and I was listening online. And I didn't know she was going to do this. I just used to listen to her when she spoke. And the topic was abortion. And she started off with, all of you know that I have had 2 children since I've been here. But I also had 3 pregnancies. And then she told the story, which was, I painfully remember, of how she had an ectopic pregnancy, which means the fetus is not in the right place. And her gynecologist said that she had a miscarriage, but her gynecologist said, her obstetrician, that it had not all come out. And she said, it can kill you. And so she had to go through a chemotherapy process. I had to take her to Atrium Hospital in the university area, and she had to have chemotherapy like every week for several weeks to flush the rest of it out. And I remember how upset she was when she went to the hospital and it said on her name tag, abortion. And she was like, I don't want to have an abortion. What? I said, you're not having an abortion. They're calling it that, which is wrong. But this is a life and death procedure. You have already lost this baby. It's just there's still 5% of the tissue is still left. And so she told this very personal story about this and talked about the struggles of women. And she got a lot of pushback from people, but she said she wanted to tell the story. And she shared that personal information. But I don't really think her position, it's just that the votes weren't there for 20 weeks. They changed it to 12 weeks. But Tricia was able to add more money for helping women. And I'm sorry, I don't know all the details, but she was very proud of that part. That wasn't there before, but with the 12 weeks, they gave extra money to help women in this distress. So that's probably all I can say about it.
Just one clarification. So her vote did not change. If she had voted the other way, it would have still been 20 weeks versus 12? Or that's not?
Well, the votes weren't there for 20. She voted for 12.
So if she had voted against that, what would have happened? That's what
I don't, sir, I don't know. I can't say I know, but I'm just saying that's what happened.
Okay, thank you.
So she still was supportive of that. Okay, who has another question? Anybody else?
There you go, man.
Can you just comment on the fact, and I know this is off of her, there's 4 people who have come out against Trump, and they were all supposedly his buddies and his team. What's the true story?
You know, ma'am, I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know. That's on a totally different
I
level.
would have asked her that, but
And I don't think she would be able to say that she knows that either.
I was just interested.
Well, there's always people who, there's always people who change their parties. I mean, she got a lot of attention for it, but like Governor McCrory used to be a Democrat and he became a Republican. But there's a lot of, but there's always people who come out and having a comment like that, but I don't have any idea. And I don't think she would either.
Okay.
Why did she change to Republican? Why did she change?
Well, she changed to Republican because she was getting so much pushback from the Democrats. And she didn't feel like she could do the work she wanted to do. And they were, just like I said, they told her she wasn't welcome in the caucus. And they complained about too many American flags. And she was like, what? She said, my grandpa was a World War II veteran. My uncle and I have cousins, second cousins, who are Vietnam vets. So she didn't understand that. And they also didn't like it when she often used I don't know if you've seen those emojis, praying hands on things. They pushed back on that. So she was like, who are these people? So it was just, there was a variety of things, but they made her feel very unwelcome, and they basically said they didn't want her in the caucus. And she wasn't going to take the governor telling her and his staff, you will push that button. She was not going to do that. I mean, she might have voted anyway, but she wasn't going to be told how to vote. So that's what was happening.
Have the Republicans accepted her?
I think we didn't expect that they would, because she's very different than they are. So I think a lot of them initially were, they knew her, and they knew she was always professional and respectable and, courteous to them. But they were kind of like, I don't know about this. And so she just went out there and worked hard and tried to talk to them and try to, sit down, let's talk about this. Let's have a cup of coffee or a lunch and let's just talk about this. I went to one of her events, and Congressman Dan Bishop was there, and he said some very nice things about Tricia, that he had worked with her as a colleague when he was in the legislature. And he said, I believe Tricia will change the Republican Party. He said she's already changed part of it. We have not had enough women in our party, and she is a woman leader, and he said she's going to change our party. So I was really happy when he said that. I don't know him very well. I only know him because as an elected official myself, I've had to interact with him on different issues, just like with Senator Tillis and things. But he said that to this group of Republicans. And so I think she will change. But I think, Rome wasn't built in a day, so it's going to take some time. But she has a lot of support among the Republicans in the legislature, and also she talks. Senator Tillis started with her when she started in the legislature. He was one of her colleagues, and so she knows him very well because they served together for 10 years, and he's been very helpful.
Does she know what kicked off this dislike of her? Does she know what kicked off this dislike of her? She's elected,
well,
and she's a Democrat.
Why did it also happen to me too? Not as extent that she had, but I certainly have had pushback from the Democrats since I got on this board. And I have been a very active Democrat, and I have been president of Democratic Women. I was a DNC member, elected throughout the state. I did that for about 6 years, and I had a group called the Uptown Democratic Forum for 15 years. I worked on numerous campaigns. I was a precinct leader for 10 years, and so I didn't expect that I was going to get pushed back, but I did. And why? I think a lot of it is, like when I ran, I had never run for office before, and I didn't make any big to-do about it. I just went down there and filed. And the Democratic Party was all, you didn't tell us you were gonna file. And I'm like, well, I just decided, and I went and did it. And but I think I was very successful. I've been the top vote getter. And unfortunately, there are people who don't have much confidence, and the only thing they can get is trying to take the shine off somebody else that's doing well. And they want to take a bite out of that. And I think that's part of it. I think it's some jealousy. But I've certainly had a lot of, Democrats give me trouble. And even since my daughter changed, I never thought that I would have Democrats, many of whom I've known for 25 years. One is a judge that would write me some terrible thing about what a terrible person I was because of my daughter. So I don't know. I just take that as, I don't know what's going on in that person's life, but obviously they have a need to lash out. And so I was somebody they could lash out to. And my daughter is like that too. And she's also attractive and friendly, and they just, I don't know. I don't know, but all I can think of is jealousy is certainly a part of it.
Well, is it just the Democrats that are being nasty? No Republicans are being uncouth?
Well,
I mean, that's the way you kind of
well,
it. I just asked it.
Oh, no, that's okay.
You and I have been at opportunities through the Charlotte Mecklenburg. You and I have been at several things. I know you don't remember me because I was just John Q. Public down there, or Jane Q. Public, especially when we were working on affordable housing out in the community. Right now, the name escapes me. That was just atrocious. And you came, you were very active and involved and listened. So I really appreciate that. But I've gotten one side of this, that it's the poo-poo Democrats, but the Republicans are, you know, there's nobody that's really being difficult. And that Tricia is a different person. And so she doesn't really fit in, I get the idea, doesn't fit in either party. You know, unaffiliated may have been her best, but we know what unaffiliated gets you in this county. Not much. So if you'll address,
well,
please.
you know, I wish I could, but since I'm not a Republican, it isn't like I have inside baseball on that. I don't. But I can tell you, like I said earlier, that she has had some pushback from some Republicans. But I don't know who they are or where they're from.
Her team can answer that.
You know,
Her team can answer
well,
that.
but he's her campaign team, but I can say that some of the elected officials have, you know, kept her at a distance, but then some have kind of like changed and starting to accept it. Just like when Congressman Bishop made that I was shocked when he said that. So, you know, it takes a while to build relationships.
Yeah,
so she has had some pushback, but they haven't certainly done anything like the Democrats have done. I mean, they haven't harmed her or threatened her life or said vulgar, vile things to her or to me. And they haven't, you know, harassed her children. They haven't tried to run me off the road, like I've had that happen. So I have to say, at my last county commission meeting, I made a statement, because right before the meeting, I picked up my grandson from school, and then I went uptown, and when I was going to pick him up, a lady stopped me, rolled her window down, and she had Democratic bumper stickers all over her car, and I just said, hi, and because I have signs on my car that say my name, so people know me. I want them to, if they want to say something, to say it. And then she starts screaming at me, you are a liar, and she just went on and on. And I just listened, and I said, I have to go pick up my grandson now. I hope you have a good day. And so I left and went into school. And then I was very happy, and I reported at the board that this woman emailed me and apologized and said, I can't believe I did what I did. And I'm so sorry, that was so rude. And when I was speaking at the board, I talked about this, and I said, I was grateful that even though she was vile to me, she apologized. And I know we're going through a difficult time in our country where people are at each other's throats, especially when they get behind the wheel. People are driving too fast, and they're weaving in and out, and things like that. And they're you know, they're not being good drivers or citizens and good people. But I was encouraged that this lady apologized to me. You know, that was, so she must have been having a bad day and she needed somebody, and there I was with my name on my car, and she starts screaming at me. So, you know, I just said, okay, I hear you. I have to go pick up my grandson. Have a good day. So that's what happened. Okay. So I think we're in a very difficult time right now in our country.
You mentioned that Dan Bishop said that she would change the Republican Party.
Yeah.
How does she how is she going to do that?
Well, I don't think she has a goal. I mean, I think just being around somebody who's very positive, and she brings up things that they had not thought of, and she has different life experiences, and she can speak, like when she was growing up, she learned a lot about senior health care because I had to, and Tricia had to help me take care of her grandmother, my husband's mother, who came to visit and had a major stroke and lived with us for several years. And then, and Tricia had to help with that. And then she went into a nursing home and lived 9 more years. But so Tricia was very involved with that. And then my father came, and and my mother came also, and my mother died soon after. But my father, had a good life, and then his health failed him, and then he moved in. And so I took care of him, and Tricia helped me a lot. This was like in 2004 to 2007. He died in 2007. So she saw up close and personal. So she has a lot of experience and understanding of the problems of elderly people. And so that's something that she talks a lot about when they're talking in Raleigh about senior issues and health care. So I think she will change things, but I think I can't tell you. She doesn't wake up every day thinking, well, how am I going to change the party? She's not. She just does. She just is authentically herself. She is not. She's not vile. She's not vulgar. She works hard. She is a school teacher type of person because that's who she was educated and she loves. And she listens to parents a lot. And so that's just who she is.
Does that mean more towards the socialism side?
No, I don't think that at all.
Well, we all want to thank Commissioner Cotham for
You're on.
I'm on.
Yeah.
For pensioning for her daughter and wish her well in her illness. And thank you once again.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
What is her current occupation?